Tonight, I just have this feeling in my heart. I have this feeling in my heart that everyone here tonight is here for the exact same reason. So we're going to take a little survey to see whether or not this feeling I have in my heart is accurate or not. So by show of hands, how many people here tonight, because you believe going to Mass is one good way to help you get to heaven? Okay, most of you. Some of you, for some reason, don't believe that. But it is true. This is one good way to help you get to heaven. Now, this turns out to be the key point of today's gospel reading. Now, the gospel tonight comes out of the 9th chapter of Mark, verses 39 to 48. And in today's gospel reading, Jesus describes 3 body parts that if they use in the wrong way, they can keep you from getting to heaven. Matter of fact, they're going to place you in the place where Jesus Christ calls Gehenna. Let's take a look at these 3 body parts. And when we take a look at these 3 body parts, there's going to be one body part, the most dangerous of all body parts, that is missing. But let's take a look at the first body part, verse 43, 9th chapter of Mark. And it says this: if your hand causes you to sin, cut it off. It is better for you to enter into life maimed than with 2 hands go into Gehenna, into the unquenchable fire. That's body part number 1. Let's take a look at the next body part, verse 45. It says, and if your foot causes you to sin, cut it off. It is better for you to enter into life crippled than with 2 feet be thrown into Gehenna. So that's the second body part. Let's take a look at the third body part. Verse 47 and 48, again of the 9th chapter of Mark. And then it says, if your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. It is better for you to enter into the kingdom of God with 1 eye than with 2 eyes to be thrown into Gehenna, where the worm dies not and the fire is not quenched. So at this point, we've examined 3 body parts. Now, what we're going to do is put the 3 body parts together, summarize those 3. Let's take a look at this. The 3 body parts mentioned, hand, foot, and eye. And it's really powerful what Jesus Christ says, because in each one of those, he says, cut off the hand, cut off the foot, get rid of the eye if they cause you to sin, because with those used in the wrong way, you can't get to heaven. But what I want you to do is take a look at those 3 that Jesus mentions in today's gospel reading. And what we're going to try to figure out, and hopefully what you'll answer for me, is what part, the most dangerous and harming of all body part, is not mentioned in today's gospel reading. You're exactly right. Let's take a look at this word. It's this one right here. It is the tongue. The tongue is the sharpest, most destructive body part of all. Now, every so often, you might use your hand in the wrong way to slap someone down. You might use your feet to take you someplace you shouldn't go, to hurt someone you shouldn't hurt. You might use your eye to look at something you shouldn't be looking at. But it is the tongue that is absolutely most destructive. If you've ever been hurt by someone because they used their tongue in a wrong way, they said words that were destructive. There have been many families, and maybe, just maybe, hopefully not, maybe your family has been destroyed because of the misuse of the tongue. Maybe someone in your family spoke words that they wanted to say, but once they said those words, they weren't able to retract them, get them back in, undo those words, and all they did was destroy. This came up just the other day in conversation I had with a fellow. And he is devastated by the fact that his son doesn't come to visit him. And why not? Because they were having an argument. And as the son was walking to the door, in the middle of this argument, we have the argument, the passions are flying, the heat is heavy. And the dad said to the son, son, if you walk out that door, never come back. And guess what the son did? He walked out that door, and he's yet to be back. Because the father purposely said those words, but once he said them, he wanted to retract them, and he can't get them back. Now he wallows in tear and agony because he spoke words that should never have been spoken. You see, it turns out to be that none of us, no human being, we cannot speak words, clear words, understandable words, without the use of the tongue. If you try to hold your tongue As you're trying to speak, you're only going to make noises. The tongue is an essential item and ingredient to make a word. Now, the Latin word for the word tongue is the word glossa. That's where the word glossary comes into play. Glossary is the definition of words. So if someone says you go to the glossary, you're gonna go to words that have been spoken. The tongue is a great instrument if it is used wise and prudently. If you walk up to someone, your son or daughter, a family member, and say, I love you. If you walk up to someone and say, I forgive you. If you walk up to someone and say, will you forgive me? That's using your tongue to form words that are healthy. But if you use your words to say things you should never say, to be destructive, once those words are spoken, you can't get them back in the box. I want to share with you, and let's take a look at this little poem. I believe the little poem speaks volumes, so I'll end with this little poem tonight. But as we travel through this poem, I just want you to think about the tongue, your tongue, and ask yourself the question, do I use it wise or do I use it in a nice-wise fashion? Have I built my family up or have I destroyed my family and my friends by using my tongue in the wrong way? It goes like this. The little tongue is a mighty thing. It can bless or it can curse. Learn to use it for the better and stop using it for the worst. The tongue is an awful weapon when it is used for speaking ill. It cuts much deeper than a sword, and it has the power to kill. Cunning words are never forgotten. Be aware what you speak with wrath. Angry words can ruin a life, while the devil laughs and laughs. To speak the truth instead of lies, the way you know you should. Don't use your tongue to speak gossip. It never leads to any good. Speak with love to your family. Let no hateful words be said. Speak blessings to your enemies, to heap words of praise on their head. Just wait and see what happens. You'll get a big surprise when you use your tongue to speak God's promises instead of using it to speak of the devil's lies. That's powerful. As you travel and go home tonight and wake up tomorrow morning, ask yourself that question. Do I use my tongue well to build up my family, or have I used my tongue to speak words that has destroyed my family?